A lathe is capable of performing many hole-making operations, but only if the part itself is mounted in a collet or chuck. Straight shank cutting tools can be mounted to the tailstock in a drill chuck, while taper shank tooling is mounted directly into the tailstock's female taper. As always, make sure to clean all mating tapered surfaces before assembly. To install a drill chuck or a taper shank tool into the tailstock, slide the tapers together forcefully and quickly into the tailstock taper until the two lock together. Most hole-making operations begin with a center drill, so you'll need to mount the center drill into the drill chuck and tighten with the chuck key. Next, release the tailstock lock and slide the tailstock toward the part until the tool tip is within an inch or so of the workpiece. Then lock the tailstock base to the lathe bed. Next, apply the proper cutting fluid to the drill cutting edges and calculate and set the appropriate spindle speed for the drill you're using. Start the spindle and make sure that it's rotating in the right direction. Rotate the tailstock quill hand wheel to bring the drill into contact with the work. Be especially careful when using smaller center drills. The small pilot of the drill is fragile, and applying too much force could easily break it. Continue feeding the drill into the work, periodically retracting the tool to clear chips and apply cutting fluid. The proper depth is reached when the tapered portion of the drill flutes have cut about 3/4 of their length. Once the depth has been reached, retract the tool from the hole and stop the spindle. If you're using a twist drill for hole making, use the same procedures outlined for center drilling. However, the depth must be monitored much more closely in order to meet the specifications on the print. Tailstock quills have depth graduation marks designed specifically for this purpose. A twist drill is also used prior to reaming to drill the hole undersized in order to allow material removal during the process. Reaming in the lathe is very similar to drilling, although slower speeds and heavier feeds are used. The speed should be set to about 50% of that used for a similar size drill, and the feed rate should be twice the amount. When reaming a blind hole, you'll also want to monitor the depth using the graduated quill in order to prevent the reamer from bottoming. Countersinking and counter-boring tools use the same procedures, except the spindle speed must be slowed down to prevent tool chatter. Typically, the speed for countersinks is 25% of that of a similar size drill, while counterbores run at 50% of the speed used for a similar size drill. In addition, the feeds are usually slightly lighter as compared to drilling.